act in a name. Admittedly, went to the eye. The ancient Greeks, we understand, already had a word for it, cinematograph, motion writing. Thus, by borrowing a nom de plume, we bridged the gap of centuries, and the fun boom in motion pictures came in the 90s, and from various sources, under strangest guise, announced themselves to an astonished world. Making their modest bow as novelty items in music halls and variety theaters, they soared swiftly overnight to top the bill, followed the new flickering wonder up and down the country and well into the turn of the century. We can imagine perhaps Tommy Atkins returning home from South Africa and taking his folks to see the Boer War on the Pathéscope. At all events, life went on pretty contentedly. New reigned King Edward VII, Edward the Peacemaker. There was high promise of prosperity ahead. A new era dawned of goodwill and friendship. Against this background, numerous conceptions, now long established in the world of films, were foreshadowed. Proudly advertised as being as British as the Union Jack, Alfred West's Our Navy was Britain's first regular film presentation to fill a program of its success in London was phenomenal and ran continuously for 3 years. On tour for a decade, it had them cheering and standing on the seats. And some, as early as 1902, Leon Gaumont successfully the chrono-megaphone. Later, at the London Hippodrome, it played for a year. Many beloved personalities of Ed Wall fame were captured, singing their patter and clowning larger than life. And so, quite naturally, variety theatres became the happy hunting ground for pioneer screen material. The majority, however, being mere repetitions of well-known stage comedy acts. After more years, something entirely different, one of the earliest and unique creations of the French cinema, Living Heads, made by Georges Méliès, recognized father of the trick film. And incidentally, Méliès also established precedents by introducing his trademark brass cream. Though worn by half a century of time, it remains a neat little cameo of cleverness in camera. In his day, his originality and zest for work was amazing, and with Madame Méliès, he produced some 400 pictures. So there you have it, the ancestor of modern film comedy and of countless millions of screen laughs. It was, however, the fairgrounds which rarely brought pictures to millions at a time when they languished in the music halls. Traveling showmen were enterprising enough to risk a gamble which turned what might have been a 9 days wonder into a real business proposition. All the fun of the fair, and an added attraction would often be gorgeously attired paraders or elocutionists who vividly described films as they progressed. And what variety! A complete change every day, never a dull moment. When your ears grew accustomed to the blare from half a dozen giant orchestrophones. Aha, the chase comic. In this once popular institution, Britain again held its own. Sneezing powder with Little Miss Unity Moore was forerunner of the Hepworth Company's celebrated Tilly the Tomboy series. Riotous nonsense was the formula for all chase comics, aided and abetted by noisy songs. First thing was to start your comedian running. The rest followed on quite unnaturally. A rough and tumble for everybody, with passers-by joining in the horseplay. Laughter and tears shared equal honors in shows of yesterday, and no program, however varied, was considered really complete unless it included at least one of the so-called moral dramas. The sentimental thief is very typical of their kind, simple, down to earth. Soon became evident that homely little plots such as this had decidedly more appeal to film audiences than all the big names and lavish trappings brought into pictures from the stage and acted in the grand manner of the theatre. And thus it came about that the screen concentrated in creating a style of exaggerated miming, distinctly its own, and in discovering its own particular players. For this, recall, was the golden age of the family electric theatre, the little shop around the corner. Christmas or otherwise. Some of us older ones will no doubt recall the extraordinary scare of 1909, when talk of invasion of Britain filled the air, when the press, novelists and playwrights seized upon the one topic of the day which had so completely captured public imagination and, to some extent, caused considerable alarm. We would remind you that the film about to be seen, again, is well over 40 years old. Incredible as it now seems, it was produced in all seriousness when the scare of aggression from a foreign power had reached its peak, and the country was being urged by several well-known national figures to rally to the cause of preparedness. In the light of more recent events, and all too familiar, we shall say no more. For here indeed film is seen as no false prophet. Ambitious, ludicrous, call it what you will, yet not so preposterous after all, despite its cardboard sets and puppet-like characters. Was it not a grim reminder to Edwardians that this indeed could happen in the progressive 20th century? Propaganda, perhaps, who knows? Your guess is as good as ours. amazing swiftness of the motion picture's growth is exemplified by this scene of Edison's original makeshift kinetoscope studio of the 90s, compared with the studio of 1900. Still, something had to be done to divorce motion pictures from inventive names. There had long been confusion of ideas. So a name contest was held, and the winner, Photoplay, which surprisingly no one had thought up before. And so was brought into being the first credited stock company of photoplayers, the Edison of New Jersey pioneers of railroad drama, for which we again dip back into 1909. Incidentally, we reintroduce two members of America's first film stock company, Laura Sawyer and William Betchell, both long since forgotten. Red tablecloth. We see here, of course, the predecessor of the serial film, though some time had yet to elapse before it actually arrived. But as they warned us in those hectic days, look out, it's coming. Back we go, helter-skelter down memory lane in a crazy scramble to the laughs and lunacies of the movie yesterday. Max Linder, Max the sophisticated one, the dandy and ladies' man, an artiste years before his time. Tweedledum, Every day was a Roman holiday for this mad-brained acrobatic whirlwind. And who remembers Harry Butt, whose jovial Mr. Poorluck was Britain's most optimistic pessimist and jokesmith? Or Tontolini, a knockabout rascal who invariably brought the house down. Also Polydor, really the same Tontolini dressed up, but now behaving himself. Ah, yes, John Bunny. Was there ever such a smile? Fat, famous, and just naturally funny. Oh, no, John, no. Tiny Tim, king of Saturday's penny matinee, a cheeky little monarch of all he surveyed. Charlie Smiler, otherwise Fred Evans, a clown of clowns whose topical skits became a national institution. Yes, the same merry fellow Pimple, and nothing ever escaped him either. He was always a bloomer, a droll lunatic in wrong bedrooms at the right moment. And Whipples, whose crazy flights of fancy had mother and dad in stitches. Simple Simon, top of his class in the old trick comedy school. Hey, hello there, what's going on? Well, what else could we expect from a guy named Fool's Head? Oh, happy days are here again. Gotcha. No escaping us this time. Our chance at last to see again little Morris, yesterday's king of knockabout farce and crazy slapstick. He was perhaps the maddest coon of them all. Aha, just you wait and see. me, dear. Back in a jiffy. Sips.